Welcome to Real Vermont News. Today, we're looking into an attempt by climate alarmists to sneak a carbon tax in on us by calling the tax the Transportation Climate Initiative, or TCI. Vermont's radical climate alarmists are finally getting the message that Vermonters don't want a carbon tax. So the alarmists are trying to confuse the issue by giving their proposed new tax on motor fuel, your basic carbon tax, a fancy new name, the Transportation Climate Initiative, TCI. The Vermont legislature is not even required to vote on this new tax. Talk about an end run around the Constitution. Instead, the TCI tax on motor fuel would be enacted via an executive agreement among northeastern state governors that requires all fuel dealers to buy so-called carbon credits for all the gas and on-road diesel fuel they sell to businesses, the government, and us. The extra cost for these carbon credits would be passed along to us, of course, in the form of increased retail prices for gas, diesel fuel, and every product and service that depends on fossil fuel transportation, which is everything. This complex new shell game is deliberately indirect and misleading because Democrat and progressive proponents haven't got the political courage to tell you that TCI is a carbon tax, a tax that will be invisible, except that every product and service you buy will cost more. Pretty sneaky, huh? And that Transportation Climate Initiative, that carbon tax by another name, will add as much as 17 cents to every gallon of gas and on-road diesel fuel you buy. The tax will increase year after year after year, too, until it gets so expensive to drive your regular car and truck that you break down and buy an electric vehicle, which is what the climate lobby wants to make you do. Elitists think everyone can afford 40 grand for an electric car. Thankfully, Phil Scott has said repeatedly that he is opposed to the carbon tax, and he is the one who has to sign off on this idea, nobody else, not even the legislature. So, let's remind our governor that most rural Vermonters have to drive long distances to get anywhere, that we can't afford to pay increased prices on everything. Let's remind him of his promise to oppose any carbon tax scheme, no matter how cleverly it's disguised. It's a promise we really need him to keep. The governor's going to be under tremendous pressure, though. Extremist environmental groups like 350.org, VPIRG, and Extinction Rebellion want him to sign on to TCI even if it wrecks our economy. And he will need your support to resist that pressure. So contact him at his office at the number below and tell him to hold firm. Remind him also that Vermont is tiny. We occupy 5/1000th of the Earth's surface. And what we do here has absolutely no impact on the world's climate. So this is pure politics, not science. Contact your state legislators, too, at contactyourrep.net and tell them to support the governor in opposing Vermont's participation in the Transportation Climate Initiative, TCI, a carbon tax with a fancy name. And that's all the Real Vermont News we have time for. A lot more happened, and we'll be looking into all of it.
Paid for by Rescue Vermont Political Action Committee. Bob Frenier, Treasurer.